Ancient Roman buildings are famous for their incredible engineering and architecture. From aqueducts to roads to bridges, the Romans were known for their incredible building projects. But did you know that the Romans also invented some pretty unexpected things? Today we're going to take a look at some of ancient Rome's most unexpected innovations and discoveries. So stay tuned. Number 10. Concrete. Concrete is one of the most important inventions of ancient Rome. It was used to build some of the most iconic structures in the city, including the Pantheon and the Colosseum. In fact, the Romans used concrete to build more than just buildings. They also used it to build roads, bridges, and aqueducts. The Romans' use of concrete helped to make their city more durable and long-lasting. Without concrete, the Romans would not have been able to build the types of structures that they did. And it is likely that the city of Rome would not have lasted as long as it did if it were not for this invention. Concrete is made by mixing cement, sand, gravel, and water together. The Romans experimented with different recipes to find the perfect mix for their projects. For example, they used a different mix for the Pantheon than they did for the Colosseum. This is because the Pantheon needed to be more watertight since it was going to be used as a tomb. The Romans were able to make concrete so durable that it is still standing today. Some of the buildings that the Romans built with concrete are still standing today, which is a testament to the strength and durability of this material. It is truly amazing to think that something that is so simple can be so strong. Number 9. Roads. The Roman road system is one of the most impressive feats of engineering in the ancient world. It allowed the Roman Empire to communicate and trade more easily throughout its vast territory. The Romans built roads using a technique called the Roman road. This involved laying down a layer of stone, followed by a layer of sand, and then a layer of gravel. This made the roads very durable, and they were able to withstand the wear and tear of traffic. The Romans also built roads using concrete. This was a more expensive option, but it was worth it in the end, because the roads were so strong. Roman roads were an important part of the Roman Empire's success. They allowed the empire to move troops and supplies around quickly and easily. This is one of the many reasons why the Roman Empire was so successful. The Roman road system is still in use today. Many of the roads that the Romans built are still being used today. This is a testament to the quality of Roman engineering. Number 8. Glass. Glass was invented in Mesopotamia around 3000 BCE. However, the Romans were the first to use glass on a large scale. They used glass for windows, bottles, and other objects. The Romans made glass by melting sand and other materials together and then blowing it into different shapes. This process is still used today to make glass. The Romans were also the first to invent clear glass. This was a major innovation because it allowed more light to enter buildings. The Romans also developed a type of glass that could be colored. They did this by adding different materials to the glass during the melting process. Colored glass was used for windows and other decorative objects. The Romans were so skilled at making glass that they were able to create objects that were very delicate and intricate. One example of this is the glass vessels that were used for perfume. These vessels were so small and delicate that they had to be blown by mouth. The Romans were also able to create glass objects that were very large. One example of this is the glass window that was used in the Pantheon. This window was so large that it had to be made in pieces and then put together like a jigsaw puzzle. Glass was an important invention for the Romans. It allowed them to build better homes, businesses, and public buildings. It also allowed them to create objects that were both beautiful and practical. Number 7. Plumbing. The Roman plumbing system is another one of their most unexpected innovations. It was used to bring water into the city and to carry away waste. The Romans used a system of pipes to carry water from aqueducts into the city. The pipes were made of lead or stone, and they were buried underground. The Romans also used a system of sewers to carry away waste. The sewers were also made of stone, and they carried waste away from the city. Roman plumbing was used in both public and private buildings. In public buildings, the plumbing was used for fountains, baths, and toilets. In private buildings, it was used for fountains, baths, and toilets. The plumbing system was also used to water the gardens. The Romans were very advanced when it came to plumbing. They were able to create pipes that were very strong and durable. They also created a system of valves that could control the flow of water. This allowed them to turn off the water supply in case of a break or a repair. Roman plumbing was an important innovation because it helped to keep the city clean and healthy. Without a good plumbing system, it is likely that Rome would have been much dirtier and more disease-ridden. Number 6. Underfloor heating. Underfloor heating is a system of heating in which the air is heated from below the floor rather than from above. This allows for a more even and comfortable heat throughout a room. The Romans were the first to invent underfloor heating. They used a system of pipes to circulate hot water or air through the floor. This system allowed for a very efficient way to heat buildings. The Romans used underfloor heating in both public and private buildings. In public buildings, it was used in baths and public spaces. In private buildings, it was used throughout the house. Roman underfloor heating was an important innovation because it allowed people to live and work in more comfortable conditions. It also reduced the amount of fuel that was needed to heat a building. This is because the heat rises, and therefore less fuel is required to maintain a comfortable temperature. Number 5. Toilets. Ancient Rome was the first city in the Western world to have public toilets. While toilets aren't exactly glamorous, they were an important part of Roman public life. Public toilets were usually located in taverns, bathhouses, and brothels. They were typically simple affairs, just a hole in the ground with a stone seat. But they were an important amenity nonetheless. The Romans also had private toilets in their homes, though these were more often than not just a hole in the floor with a bucket to collect the waste. Despite their simplicity, Roman toilets were an important step forward for sanitation and public health. They helped to prevent the spread of disease and made the city more pleasant for everyone. The Romans may not have had indoor plumbing or running water, but they did have toilets, and that was a big deal. Number 4. Aqueducts. Aqueducts are structures that carry water over long distances. They are often used to bring water from a source such as a river or lake into a city. The Romans were the first to invent aqueducts on a large scale. They used them to bring fresh water into the city of Rome from sources as far away as 60 miles. Aqueducts were an important part of Roman infrastructure. They provided the city with the fresh water it needed for drinking, bathing, and cleaning. Aqueducts were also used to water the gardens and farms in and around the city. The Romans were very advanced in their aqueduct technology. They were able to create aqueducts that were very long and very stable. They also developed a system of dams and reservoirs that allowed them to control the flow of water. Roman aqueducts were an important innovation because they provided the city with the water it needed to thrive. They also helped to make Rome one of the most sanitary cities in the ancient world. Number 3. Arches and vaults. Arches and vaults are structural elements that have been used in architecture for centuries. They are often used to create roofs, bridges, and tunnels. The Romans were the first to invent arches and vaults on a large scale. They used them to build some of the most impressive structures in the ancient world, such as the Pantheon and the Colosseum. Arches and vaults were important to Roman architecture because they allowed for the construction of larger and more open spaces. They also made it possible to create buildings that were more resistant to earthquakes and other natural disasters. The Romans were able to create arches and vaults that were very strong and stable. They also developed a system of concrete that allowed for the construction of taller and more elaborate structures. Arches and vaults are still used today in architecture. They are a timeless design element that has stood the test of time. Number 2. Travertine. Travertine is a type of limestone that is formed by hot springs. It is often used in architecture and sculpture. The Romans were the first to use travertine on a large scale. They used it to build some of the most iconic structures in the city of Rome, including the Colosseum and the Pantheon. The Romans were drawn to travertine because of its unique appearance. It has a distinctive look that is unlike any other type of stone. The Romans also found that travertine was very easy to work with. It could be cut and shaped relatively easily, making it ideal for construction and sculpture. The Romans were so impressed with travertine that they brought it to new heights. They developed new techniques for cutting and shaping the stone. They also used it to create some of the most elaborate and intricate works of art. Number 1. Cement. You thought we wouldn't talk about cement. Cement is a substance that is used to bind other materials together, such as sand, gravel, and water to form concrete. Without cement, concrete would not be strong enough to be used in construction. The Romans were the first to invent a type of cement that was strong enough to be used in large construction projects. They used it to build some of the most impressive structures in the ancient world, such as the Pantheon and the Colosseum. The Romans were able to create a type of cement that was stronger than any that had come before it. This was due to their experimentation with different recipes and their knowledge of chemistry. The Romans were so proud of their invention that they spread it to other parts of the empire. This allowed other cultures to benefit from this amazing substance. Cement is still used today in construction. It is an essential ingredient in concrete, which is used to build everything from houses to skyscrapers. The Romans may have invented cement for their own use, but they shared it with the world. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe so you don't miss out on future content.